In Family Guy, there are characters who clearly represent the 7 deadly sins. But when it comes to virtues, the show doesn't exactly have a roster of heavenly saints. We're going to dig deep and find the least sinful of the bunch to bear the heavenly virtues and compare them against the 7 deadly sinners. Sounds like a plan? Starting with greed versus generosity. For the sin of greed, Carter Pewterschmidt's greed goes way beyond the typical billionaire mindset. This man doesn't just want money, he wants absolute control over everything, and that includes his family. But it's not just about wealth for him, it's about manipulating the world around him to benefit his bottom line, regardless of the human cost. Take, for example, the time Carter discovered the cure for cancer. Instead of saving lives, he chose to hide it purely out of greed. His logic? Pure profit.
Because there's far more money to be made in treating a disease than in curing it. Why cure someone of cancer in a day if we can treat them for a lifetime and bill them every step along the way? What? That's insane!
Brian, it's so cold in here. Look how big my nips are.
But that's not even the worst of it. In the episode T. Peter, Carter orchestrates a rally to shut down Quahog's government. He manages to rally enough support, including Peter, to have Mayor West shut it all down.
Is anyone else out there sick of government crap?
Oh my God, it's like he's saying everything I'm listening to.
That's right. The government wants to tell you what foods to eat. And what church you can go to. And that you can't own a chimpanzee because you're not responsible enough.
But Carter's motive? It wasn't for some grand political agenda or love of the people. No, his goal was simple. He wanted his company, Pewterschmidt Industries, to keep polluting the city without anyone holding him accountable.
Oh, of course, Carter Pewterschmidt, an industrialist with oil refineries in this city, is on your side. He wants to get rid of environmental regulations for you.
Brian, he doesn't get sarcasm.
No, it's not just environmental regulations, Brian. Carter wants to get rid of the whole city government of Quahog.
The chaos that ensued, services being cut, the city descending into panic, didn't faze Carter one bit. As long as his pockets were lined, the town's well-being was just collateral damage. And the crazy part? None of this scratches the depths of the times Carter has shown that, when it comes to the deadly sin of greed, he's sharing a spot with no one. Let's now shift to the opposite of greed, the virtue of generosity. Now in the Family Guy universe, which, yes, the Cleveland show counts as being part of, when you think of generosity, your options are limited. Extremely limited. But there's one woman who stands out just enough to attempt to wear the crown, Donna Tubbs Brown. Now, Donna might not always be front and center in Family Guy, but over on the Cleveland show, we see a lot more of what makes her tick. She's Cleveland's second wife, and she takes care of him and his son Rallo, along with her own kids. Now, the one situation that really makes a strong case for Donna deserving the virtue of generosity is when she got the whole family to volunteer at a shelter on Christmas, giving away stuff to the less privileged. So while most people were home binging holiday shows, Donna had her family giving back to the less privileged, because she sensed the kids were getting a little too comfy with their spoiled behavior, and she knew drastic, charity-fueled action had to happen ASAP.
Nobody is getting anything for Christmas until they give something back.
Giving back.
This year, we're all volunteering at the homeless shelter. Pass. Then you most definitely will not get that purse.
And it was going great, until Cleveland decided to scam the shelter by pretending to be homeless just to get free cookies and extra goodies.
Time for hobo initiation.
Shh. This is a hot dog.
Take whatever you want. It's free.
Wow, I feel like a kid in a used candy store. What else you guys got in this place?
Donna, on the other side, was busy thinking her husband was out there being a charity king and beaming with pride until she found out the truth, and man, she nearly lost it.
You have completely ruined this family's good name. You will apologize and make this right.
Okay.
So yeah, for the virtue of generosity, Donna stands out as someone who gives. After the virtue of generosity, the next deadly sin is gluttony. If we're keeping it real, Peter Griffin could probably claim the top spot for every deadly sin, but when it comes to gluttony, he plops down very comfortably. Peter doesn't just eat to live, he eats to live large. The fat man's relationship with food is borderline tragic.
Oh, now he gets to the army.
He would do anything to get his burger protected, even if it means running into a fire to save the burger store. And when Lois, being a reasonable wife, cautioned him about eating junk food, do you think Peter would take her advice? Absolutely not. Since he isn't allowed to cook in the kitchen anymore, he improvises and uses his car to make more junk food.
Are you cooking in your car?
I am.
Is this because of food kills?
Oh, you saw that movie too, huh?
But why stop at a car? Peter goes big and gets a whole food truck. That way, he gets to make junk meals for everyone and have unlimited access to as much trash food as he wants. As expected, the fat man gets so big he can't even get himself out of the truck.
Damn it! I can't fit through the door! I'm stuck in the truck!
What? What are you talking about?
I knew this would happen. You're too fat to get out.
But you'd think Peter's gluttony would stop at himself? Wrong again. He dragged his also overweight son Chris into a crazy restaurant scam where they went from hotel to hotel just so they could eat the free buffets to their fill without paying a dime. Just how far would a dude go for gluttony? But if it's not food, it's beer. The man's an alcoholic, and his father's ghost practically haunts him with a quote that he's a fat, stinking drunk.
What is it?
Peter, you're a fat, stinking drunk.
But to Peter, that's just the best compliment ever. When it comes to gluttony, Peter Griffin doesn't just participate, he dominates and makes the rules. On the other hand, let's see who takes up the virtue of that counterbalances gluttony. Self-control. Now, when it comes to self-control, you probably wouldn't expect Joe Swanson to make the list. Especially not with the way he sometimes flies into a rage like a caffeine-addicted rhino. But hear this out. Yes, Joe has anger issues.
Fractions are so hard. What'd you get for number 4?
She said don't share answers!
He's thrown fists, flipped tables, and screamed like his wheelchair was on fire. But what makes him stand out is that most of the time, he actually reins it in. He's a cop living in Quahog, working with a crew of absolute lunatics, and somehow hasn't gone full dirty. That alone deserves applause. Even when Peter and the gang push him to the edge, like when they mock his disability, wreck his stuff, or rope him into some illegal scheme, Joe usually takes a deep breath, clenches his jaw, and moves on. One time, when Joe and Bonnie were going through a rough patch, a new and very flirty police officer started making moves on him at work.
You know how they say never meet your heroes? Well, they don't say anything about kissing them.
Whoa!
Of course, Peter and Quagmire were right there, cheerleading him into cheating. Joe, to his credit, held strong and resisted the temptation, as much as a guy surrounded by terrible influences could. Also, when Meg kept making advances at him, Joe calmly and kindly turned her down, reassuring her that he was still a friend.
I just wanted us to be closer.
Look, Meg, I do care for you, but I care for you like I would a niece or a good friend's daughter.
I feel like such an idiot.
Don't. I'm lucky to have you as a neighbor.
Compare that to Quagmire, who couldn't wait for Meg to turn 18 before making his move. Yeah, Joe definitely shows a lot more self-control. Every now and then, the rage boils over. Who wouldn't snap after hanging around Peter for more than 10 minutes?
Want it?
This is in poor taste, Peter. You're starting to piss me off. You're starting to piss me off!
But Joe consistently manages to keep his badge, his job, and somehow his sanity. That definitely earns him the title of self-control, hands down. But speaking of anger issues, the next deadly sin is wrath. For the sin of wrath, Ernie the Giant Chicken embodies it. Name a professional grudge holder and I'll raise you Ernie the Giant Chicken. This guy's been holding onto a vendetta against Peter Griffin since the incident that started it all. A mix-up with an expired coupon.
And that nice chicken outside gave me this coupon.
I'm sorry, this is expired.
You son of a...
From there, things escalated quickly, and what followed was one of the most ridiculous, violent, and never-ending battles in Family Guy history. Ernie's wrath isn't just a brief moment of anger, it's a lifetime commitment to destruction. Each time he shows up, he's ready to fight Peter to death, no matter how far or absurd the situation gets.
Oh, crap.
They've had knockdown, drag-out brawls in the streets, in the skies, and even in the seas, too. Their constant fight had Peter so shaken that he admitted to not being able to move without looking over his shoulders outside of fear that Ernie might just be lurking there.
Because I hate you. Every day I wake up not knowing if you're gonna come out of nowhere and punch me in the face. I flinch every time a door opens. I look over my shoulder every time I bend down to tie my shoes. And I flip my porch light on every night before I go to bed just to see if you're standing there.
Now, the opposite of wrath is the heavenly virtue of patience. When it comes to patience, Lois Griffin deserves a gold medal. Why? Because she hasn't murdered Peter yet. Oh, okay, wait, no, she's done that a couple of times, but it didn't kill him off or end their marriage. They're still a couple. And nothing, absolutely nothing, has tried Lois's patience like the fact that she's married to a man like Peter.
I know my daddy's probably using you.
Lois, I'm so glad you're done with the dishes so that you can hang out and chime in on this.
Actually, Peter, I haven't done the dishes.
Oh, you haven't? Well, then I'm confused.
Oh, he does get sarcasm.
We can't say what she finds in him, but she stayed with him despite his many antics, sheer stupidity, violence, and abuse to both the children and even her.
All right, family, line up for cigar burns.
Ah!
Oh! Ow!
Seriously, the woman lives with a man who's constantly gets himself into ridiculous situations, but not just that, he ends up dragging the entire family along for the ride.
$100,000 worth of damage. All thanks to that stupid horse of yours.
Look, can we not talk about the horse, please? It's gone.
Oh, boy. I miss the old days when it was just a flaming bag of poop and a hurtful note.
I have no idea how the hell we're gonna pay for this, Peter.
What's super frustrating is that most, if not all of these situations could clearly be avoided if Peter listened to her, but nope, that's too much to ask for. In one episode, Peter befriends a mafia gangster, and Lois, being the reasonable one, saw how terrible and dangerous such a friendship was. She advised him to cut it off. The next day, a hit was put on her, and it was just a stroke of luck that she escaped.
But I would like a second opinion.
Here it is.
Oh my God, our car!
Oh, man. Am I glad I caught you? I almost forgot. Don't start your car.
But if it's not the mafia coming for her because of Peter, it's Peter himself. Like, who gets up in the middle of the day and just casually fires shots at his wife for target practice?
What the hell?
Peter's constantly putting the family in debt and treating them like crap, but Lois bears all of it and somehow manages to keep her cool. In fact, her level of patience is so impressive that if patience were a virtue that could be quantified, Lois would be considered a saint by now. But then she does lose it completely sometimes and gives Peter a taste of the frustration she feels at his constant stupidity and recklessness getting on her nerves. But other than these moments when she lashes out, Lois is definitely the embodiment of patience. This takes us to the next deadly sin. After a lot of thought and sifting through good contenders, the person who takes the sin of envy is Brian. Sure, he might strut around like the most refined, intellectual dog on the block, but beneath that smug exterior lies an insecure, jealous mess. Brian's bitter envy is a constant throughout the show, and his hypocrisy only serves as a mask for the constant insecurity he feels inside. Take his constant infatuation with Lois, his best friend's wife. Despite knowing it's completely wrong, Brian can't shake his jealousy of Peter and the life he has with Lois. Then there's the time he broke up with a girl just because he couldn't stand the fact that she was smarter than him. His ego couldn't handle it, so he walked away because being outsmarted is just too much for Brian to handle. And let's not forget about his petty revenge on Quagmire, trying to date his ex Cheryl Teagues just because he was envious of Quagmire's success with women.
Well, you just think you know everything, don't you? You're like a black woman in hindsight.
I told you. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you? 'Cause I told you.
But this is nothing compared to the time when Stewie showed interest in writing a play. Brian was eaten up by the jealousy. Stewie's play turned out so good, it drove Brian crazy. So much that just to crush Stewie's confidence, he told him it was terrible.
And as your friend, you'd want me to be honest with you, right?
Totally.
It wasn't good.
Oh, no, really? Oh, I worked so hard on it. Oh, I thought it was good. Oh.
Oh, I know. I wanted it to be good so much.
Oh, I'm so bummed out right now. Now I don't even know if I should submit it.
But he didn't just stop there. To make sure Stewie never submitted it, he broke in and stole the play, tried to destroy it, and denied knowing anything about it.
All right, and what does it matter? It was terrible anyway. We've had this conversation. Do yourself a favor and move on.
Well, that's interesting, Brian, because I found this buried in the backyard next to your soup bone.
For Brian, nothing can fuel his actions like envy does. But on the side of the heavenly virtues, let's see who we've got for the opposite virtue of kindness. No character has taken more undeserved hits, verbal smackdowns, or public humiliations than Meg, and somehow, she still wakes up every day, sits at that breakfast table, and tries to be part of the family that treats her like gum on the bottom of their shoe. Any normal person would have snapped by now, burned down the house, and changed their name. But Meg, she just wants to fit in, be loved, and not be told to shut up.
'Cause you have 3 sons.
But I'm not.
Shut up, Greg.
Now, Meg as the poster child for kindness might raise a few eyebrows, and fair enough, but hey, this is Family Guy. It's not like we're spoiled for choice. So basically, Meg's kindness isn't loud or flashy. It's in simple moments like when she offered to help Joe babysit. Even though she took it far along the line by developing a crush on Joe, she was still kind and helpful.
98, 99, 100.
Oh, thanks, Meg. I really appreciate you helping me out these past couple of days. Sorry I bit you yesterday.
That's okay. I guess now I know not to get too close to your bowl, right?
There's also when she saved Stewie from choking on a grape. It was just a pure instinct to help, and it actually changed something. Stewie, who had spent most of his life bullying her for sport, suddenly saw her in a different light.
She just sits there and takes it. She deserves a better life than this, Brian. And you know what? I'm going to give it to her.
How are you going to do that?
With this situation, it's safe to say Meg embodies the virtue of kindness, or at least the kind of kindness you develop from years of emotional damage and zero validation. The next Family Guy sinner and deadly sin is pride. The sin of pride goes to none other than Stewie Griffin. When it comes to intellect, no one even comes close. Stewie is a genius, an absolute mastermind, and he's not about to let you forget it. His level of arrogance is unmatched, and nothing gets under his skin more than someone who can't keep up with his brilliance. And that's practically all of Quahog, or the entire universe.
We were outside the space-time continuum. Time and space didn't exist until my explosion, which means I created the universe, Brian.
That doesn't make any sense. You were born in the universe.
Stewie was so proud that his time machine caused the Big Bang, he wouldn't even let Brian share the glory, arrogantly reminding him of the place in the scheme of things.
I kind of created the universe, too.
No. You're sort of the Art Garfunkel of the universe.
Now, unlike other smug characters on the show like Brian, who might throw around a half-baked comment, Stewie actually has the brain power to back it up.
The theory states that there are an infinite number of universes coexisting with ours on parallel dimensional planes.
Dimensional planes, right.
Don't do that. Don't repeat the last two words like you already kinda knew what I was talking about. You have no idea what I'm talking about.
His sarcasm and sharp comebacks aren't just for show. They cut deep and make people question their very existence. When Stewie lands a verbal blow, it's a soul-crushing experience, and you better believe he stands back and relishes the destruction.
How old are you?
Well, how old are you? You look like you're 40, which means whatever you've got in there is 100% brain damaged. All right, you have a good day.
But here's the thing. Stewie isn't just proud of his intelligence, he's proud of everything he does and thinks no one is on his level. And well, he's right. No one else is. But while Stewie embodies the sin of pride, the opposite heavenly virtue to that is humility. When you think of the heavenly virtue of humility on Family Guy, the closest character who comes to mind is Cleveland Brown. At first, you might say Cleveland stands out as the most calm and soft-spoken of his friends. He rarely raises his voice or boasts, which is pretty rare in the loud, chaotic world of Family Guy. What really seals the deal for Cleveland's humility, though, is how, even when he's wronged, he almost never speaks up. Now, excuse the Family Guy dynamic here, his humility often gets pushed to the extreme, sometimes even feeling more like humiliation. Take, for instance, the time when Loretta had an affair with Quagmire. This would infuriate any partner, but not Cleveland. He ended up apologizing to Loretta and making excuses for both her and Quagmire, barely reacting to the fact that his best friend slept with his wife. It wasn't until Peter stepped in that Cleveland showed any anger, but even then, Lois pointed out that his lack of reaction was likely why he's taken for granted.
Quagmire than someone she could get a disease from.
Cleveland, don't you see? This is why your wife left you. You don't have any passion. Sometimes a woman wants to see her man be a man. You gotta push back a little. You gotta get a little rough. Oh, God, Peter, hit me!
Yeah!
Ow!
Now, it's quite ironic that even though Cleveland got his own spin-off show, he's never really looking for the spotlight or trying to one-up anyone. While others like Peter or Quagmire are busy making themselves the center of attention, Cleveland is just happy to be along for the ride, quietly observing and occasionally throwing in his 2 cents, even when he's ignored or the butt of racist jokes.
Man, this trip is dangerous. Couldn't we have just taken a bus?
Black guy.
Now, this may not be a virtue I'd advise anyone to follow, but since we're talking about humility and we need a candidate, Cleveland takes the spot, and you can say it's well-deserved. Of course, he's not perfect, and he has his flaws and wild moments too. But one thing you can always count on is his ability to keep it low-key. He is the Family Guy chill guy. The next devilish deadly sin is, and probably the worst, is Sloth or Chris. When it comes to the deadly sin of sloth, there's only one contender that stands out, and that's Chris Griffin. Chris isn't lazy in the traditional sense. He's not just avoiding work or responsibility. No, it's his total lack of ambition or motivation that makes him the perfect embodiment of sloth. His slothfulness, of course, means he's the slowest in school, constantly getting Fs and coming last almost every time. When he's actually asked to do something, he looks like it's the most exhausting thing he's ever had to deal with. And during those long stretches of doing absolutely nothing, you can bet he's up to no good. Chris, being the hormonal teenager he is, has a strange obsession that he takes way too far, creating a secret stash of adult material.
Not exactly. It's a porn room.
These are impressively organized and cataloged.
People in the community like things well labeled, so I developed the spewy decimal system.
I don't want to sound like a square, but if you put this level of effort into your schoolwork, you could really soar.
See that? That's a mint condition 1983 Kurt Russell Goldie Hawn sex tape.
Besides his huge library-like setup, he's also got multiple tabs playing at once, like he's monitoring his own personal CCTV system at some supermarket.
28 windows of porn playing simultaneously?
Sometimes I pretend I'm at the security desk at the mall, and everyone at the mall is banging each other.
Chris, don't you see?
There's no other walking, breathing definition of sloth like Chris. This now makes the character embodying the opposing heavenly virtue of diligence an interesting choice. Diligence. The one man in Quahog who deserves an award for sheer persistence is Principal Shepard. The fact that James Woods High still exists and hasn't been burned down, shut down, is honestly a miracle. Despite being surrounded by chaos, underpaid teachers, and students who can barely spell education, Shepard shows up every day and keeps the school running. He's so committed to his role that even on days when the school is closed or on break, Principal Shepard is still in his office or cruising the hallways like school never stopped.
Principal Shepard! Where is everyone?
Principal Shepard's not here, Miss Griffin.
In one episode, he actually gets fired for making a fat-shaming joke about Chris, a comment Lois didn't take kindly to.
Boy, he's a big boy. Biggest boy. Big boy. Biggest boy.
If there's nothing else,
There's still the agenda item of you fat-shaming Chris Griffin.
I think we can table that.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, but fat shaming is not okay. This is my son we're talking about.
If your son had been shot, all I could offer is thoughts and prayers, but this calls for a far stronger response.
But when Lois and Peter later find out he's become homeless because, duh, the school was practically his whole life, they do the kind thing and bring him into their home. Big mistake. Within days, Shepard turns their house into a full-on school, and the students, the entire Griffin family, they're now reporting to him, doing assignments, and asking for hall passes. He basically hijacks their home and runs it like a tight academic ship.
Attention, Griffins. Could Peter Griffin please report to the backyard?
Shut up! Peter, I'm looking at your aptitude assessment. We think you would be more comfortable eating in the special breakfast unit.
The man doesn't know how to stop being a principal. Eventually, Lois and Peter have to pull strings to get him rehired to the school just so they can have their house and their sanity back. If that's not diligence, I don't know what is. That man is fully committed. And then, on the side of the devil and deadly sins, what comes next is lust. Honestly,
who else but Quagmire?
He's Quagmire. No arguments. Quagmire is the embodiment of lust. Unapologetically, we're talking about a man who threw a 1,000 Quagfest celebration parade to flaunt his international conquests, each country proudly represented.
All of Quagmire's women organized by country. There's Brazil, there's Italy, and there's Thailand. Wow, they're young. We should go.
Quagmire's lust knows no bounds. His house is booby-trapped to ensure he gets down to business. Almost nobody is safe from his gaze, not women, not food, not animals, not even corpses, not even the bro code to stop him from messing with his friend's wife. Whatever perverse thing crosses your mind, Quagmire's probably tried it. If you can think it, he's done it.
God, let's see, what else is there? I never gave a reach around to a spider monkey while reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, God!
And let's not even get started on his internet obsession. When he discovered internet corn, this man locked himself in his house for weeks, emerging only to flaunt his literal mark of his newfound addiction like it was a badge of honor.
Quagmire? Hey, nobody's seen you in days.
Hey, Peter. I've just been, checking out some of that internet porn.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just gonna go and check my mail over there.
You been lifting weights?
No.
When it comes to the deadly sins of lust, the undisputed candidate is Glenn Quagmire. If lust were a sport, he'd be a gold medalist, and not ashamed to show off the trophies. But turning now to the heavenly side, we have the virtue of purity or chastity. For the virtue of purity, the bar is so low, like on the floor, that the only character who comes close to embodying it is Roert. Yeah, that's right, Stewie's teddy bear. Roert is as pure as they come. And I mean, we can understand why. He's basically a lifeless doll that Stewie somehow treats like a partner and has full one-sided conversations with him.
Clearly my work is suffering. Look, we're both adults. We can split custody of Simon. I guess I'd better tell him. Simon, you know Mommy and Daddy love you very much.
So quite easily, he's never involved in any of the chaos, the pranks, or the moral messes that the rest of the Family Guy characters get into. He's just a soft, cuddly teddy bear, and that's exactly why he fits the bill. While everyone else around him is making questionable decisions or engaging in ridiculous behavior, Roert is just there. How much more pure are we looking for in a show like Family Guy? Even though Stewie, with his crazy obsession with him, is unhinged a couple of times, Roert is kind of the one thing in Stewie's life that remains consistent, calm, and pure. He's never scheming, never getting caught up in anyone's antics. He's just the perfect picture of innocence. If anything, Roert is the one who ends up defiled. Take Vinny, the new dog who was brought in to replace Brian after his death. In a particularly awkward moment, Vinny openly admits to having humped Roert.
Well, Roert seems to like my humping.
What did you say?
Roert. Humped him for 2 hours yesterday. He just laid there and took it.
Needless to say, Stewie completely lost it.
And that is why I killed myself, chopped myself up, and put myself in the garbage. Wow, he must have had some demons.
Oh my God, suicide.
So yeah, in the Family Guy's world of chaos, a stuffed animal is the virtue of purity. Check out our other video, Most Loved versus Most Hated Family Guy Characters, and see which characters are just as wild as the ones we've talked about here.